I'm retired and don't have to worry about making a living with or generating income with photography, and so I just do it because I enjoy it. I picked this one up because this was one of the first photographs that I made that I really felt very affected by when I came back from my first trip to China. One of the things that was so great about Asia generally is they have a very different sense of the natural world than we do. You know, it's something they're a part of. It's not something that they're fighting against and trying to control and exploit and dominate. And this is from the inside of a beech tree in summer. And when I walked inside and I saw this, I was just taken away. And you know, people like to talk about capturing an image. Well, I sort of get more inclined toward being captured by the image. And it was just this scene of these great limbs coming down to the ground just sort of occupied me. And I still enjoy that a great deal. I worked with black and white. This was back in 2008, I guess, when I sort of took back my photographic practice. So I worked exclusively with black and white for a few years because that's what I knew from my previous experience in photography. And sometimes, like with this one, I really enjoy and retaining a little bit of color, as it's done in this one. This one has a really interesting story because this was in Taiwan on the banks of a river, and we had a guide that was driving us and giving us background information about this park that we were in, and the river was opening up into the Pacific Ocean within a mile or so. And I asked him to stop there, and I was wandering around on the beach, and he's back talking to my wife initially, and he comes up to me, and he says, "What are you photographing?" You know, because I had my camera pointed down, and it was just incomprehensible to him that I was pointing my camera at the ground, which you'll notice I've done in a number of other pictures as well, rather than the horizon or something larger, as well as something that had more of a lateral view to it. And this one is from a recent trip to Florida. This was down near Tampa, and there was a park, and we were just walking in the park, and there was this grove of live oaks, and the way, I think it's 3 or 4 different oaks that sort of have converged at the top, forming a kind of umbrella, and it's almost as if they're roots growing up rather than trunks converging away from you. And I love to fill up the frame, as I've done with most of these. Fill up the frame with sort of edge to edge with something that is sort of continuous with the rest of the picture space. This was also from the trip to Sanibel. I'm very taken by the granularity of material things. I love the color on the left and the right at the top. All these multitude of shells, most of which are broken. This is a picture that is very unusual for me to do because I almost never include the horizon in the pictures pictures that I'm drawn to. But these multiple layers of color and value are something that I found pretty irresistible. This was also from my trip to Florida, and we were in a natural area walking along a little stream, and I was just struck with these arms of this tree, you know, reaching out like a octopus or something. And so that was kind of tricky to print because the light was not was much harsher and less pleasing to the eye than what I was able to get it to with various dodging and burning. This is a stream in a pond, and I just sort of caught a glimpse of this out of the corner of my eye. I was pretty much finished with my camera walk, and I just noticed underneath the tree limbs that there was something going on the water. These are water fleas, I think they're called, making these little circles because of the speed of the camera shutter. And I just loved the shadows of the tree and the ripple in the water and the little circles made by the water fleas and the deep darks in the foreground down here. This one this is from the fall, from East Rock Park, which is a big park in the center of New Haven, and didn't get much from that walk that day, but this one certainly stood out. I was just captivated by the veins and the color and the turned over leaf and the negative space. This one I did with the tripod. Sometimes I use a tripod, but often I don't have it handy. And so I was pretty close to this one, so I needed to use the tripod. This one is from a lotus pond, as you can tell from what you see, in a temple area in Kyoto, where I was to visit my son about a year ago. And I was just very taken with the collapsed lotus pods and the broken stems and the light and the shadow and the color. This one is, you know, is surely the less photogenic, but I was very taken with that. I was wondering, we had a tornado that came through here, Connecticut generally, but also through New Haven last summer, I think it was, spring or summer. And it did an extraordinary amount of damage to the Sleeping Giant State Park. And I have a friend who lives right on the edge of the park, and he was taking me around to see some of the damage. And this is essentially the ball of a tree that had been taken down. And I mean, this is the life of a huge tree, or you might say the death of a huge tree. But I was just very enchanted by all of these little roots and rocks and vine-like structures. This is also from Kyoto. I was in a temple area where there were rock gardens, but it's you probably know, or some of you don't know, the rock gardens in Japan are rocks that are situated in beds of sand, whereas this was just a little. It was like the front yard of a residence, and they had placed these rocks in the tree. The grass was growing over it, and it was punctuated by these colorful leaves, and you know, it seemed much more affecting than the the rock gardens themselves, because everybody's seen those kinds of rock gardens, and this was a very different kind. This is from